We'll request a motion to go into executive session for the discussion of pending or potential litigation, personnel, and real estate.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Voting.
That motion carries with Mr. Johnson, Mr. Bobby Williams, and Mr. Guilfoyle out.
Yeah, he did. All right. Thank you, Clerk Bonner. Now headed to executive session. I now call this meeting back to order. Attorney Brown?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Commissioners, we'll request a motion to execute the closed meeting affidavit.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, voting.
That motion carries unanimously with Mr. Guilfoyle out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Attorney Brown?
Yes, Mayor Johnson, there are two motions which will be requested by the administrator.
Okay. Administrator Dowse.
Mayor Johnson and Augusta Commissioners, I would like to request a motion to approve an annual compensation increase of $25,000 to be effective at the beginning of the next pay period for Coroner Mark Bowen.
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and there's a second. Madam Clerk, voting.
That motion carries unanimously with Mr. Guilfoyle out.
Thank you. Administrator Dowse.
I would like to request a motion to approve an annual compensation increase of $25,000 to be effective at the next pay period, at the beginning of the next pay period for Marshall Ramon Lampkin.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and there's a second. Madam Clerk, voting.
That motion carries unanimously with Mr. Guilfoyle out.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Attorney Brown, are there any other motions? No, sir. All right. Before we commence with our committee meeting, I just want to take a few words of privilege to all of the employees of Augusta Richmond County. It's Employee Week. Thank you guys for all that you do. We really appreciate you. You know, we've been celebrating all week with breakfast and a lot of festivities. So thank you for the hard work that you put in for Augusta Richmond County, and just know that it's greatly appreciated. On a second note, and it was brought to my attention by Director Hamid Benlik, we had a group that went down to Magnolia Cemetery this past weekend. As you know, one of my big initiatives is cleaning the city up. So it was an effort led by Ms. Janelle Lund along with Just Serve. They went down and did a great job this weekend in cleaning up, and I applaud their effort. And thank you so much. With that being said, I close out this meeting and turn it over to the committees.
Can I get a point of privilege, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I also want to recognize that yesterday we had the opportunity to host the governor of the state of Georgia here for some bill signing. And I just want to recognize those who had any dealings with coordinating that effort, and also, of course, the clerk's office and others who put things together in the Linda Beasley room. It was a class operation, and we're very grateful to have the ear of the governor here in Augusta, Richmond County, and see the importance of what's going on here in Richmond County. So, Mr. Mayor, I don't know all who was involved, but whoever was involved, I just want to give you a thank you for the work that you did in ensuring that the hosting of our governor was done in a class fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. It was a concerted effort from Central Services, Director Lampkin, as well as the Marshal's Department, of course, Clerk Lena Bonner, who provided all of the delicious food and make sure that the room was prepared. But it was a concerted effort for everybody, and it was a great day. So thank all that were involved, and it is greatly appreciated. All right, Madam Clerk,
Yes,
committee
sir.
time.
All right. I'd like to call Public Services to order. Ms. Morowski, is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, if none being so, can I get a motion to approve number 2, please? Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Voting on number 2 to approve the minutes.
That motion carries unanimously with Mr. Guilfoyle out.
Ms. Morowski, number 1, please.
Yes, sir. Discussion, consider the probation, suspension, or revocation of the alcohol license, dance license, and business license for Vansilis Allen, doing business as Level 9 Sports Bar and Grill, located at 3054 Damascus Road, for failure to comply with the Augusta alcohol ordinance and occupation tax ordinance.
Thank you. Director Delaney.
Good afternoon. All right, so as was read into the record, today we're before you because we have concerns about the type of business that is the Level 9 Club. And we have recently, over in communication with the Sheriff's Department, and been tracking activity. The current owner has been the owner since 2013, so for approximately 10 years. Most recently, starting with January 24th, we've had 2 people hurt via stabbing. We've had a shooting death on December 28th, and that was a fatality, of course. And then between the years 2020 and 2023, we've had 5 battery cases. So we're bringing this before you, and the sheriff's representative is also here because of the activity that is going on at this particular business and our concern about the welfare of the patrons of this establishment.
Okay. Can we hear from the Sheriff's Department and his recommendation?
Good afternoon. The reason we're bringing this
State
to
your name and address.
I'm
just
sorry. Investigator Jose Ortiz with the Richmond County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
The reason we're bringing this to you is because of incidents that have happened just this year. Like she said earlier, March 21st, 2023, had a shooting that happened inside a club. A shooter began shooting at an unknown person inside the club, and 3 people ended up being shot, 2 in the back, 1 in the leg. On January 24th of this year, a stabbing took place where 2 people were stabbed inside the club. As for those 2 incidents, no deaths occurred. But in September 28, 2021, a shooting happened outside the club in the parking lot during a, we believe to be a drug transaction, where there was a death, there was another person that was shot in the leg, and then one of the security personnel was being shot, was shot in the hand. There are battery cases, there are civil battery cases that occur in this business. But again, when you start having a lot of alcohol consumption, they kind of go hand in hand. So I'm not really concerned about the fights that occur in the bar, more concerned of the aggravated assaults, the murders that have been occurring there. Now, I will say this for Mr. Allen. Since I spoke with him after the incident occurred. When I ended up speaking with him, he had already told me that he had metal detectors on the way, and he hired additional security to prevent this from happening. The last shooting was learned that somebody let the subject in from a door that nobody was watching. So he has put somebody on that door to watch that door and any other door to prevent people from just coming in with guns. He's done what I would have recommended him to do, but for something to happen stabbing to happen in January and then another shooting to happen in March within 2 months of each other, that's a little excessive.
So what you just stated about the additional metal detectors, was that before?
No, this is after.
This is
the
after
shooting.
all that
Right.
happened.
He told me he had a
Okay.
metal detector on the way, and he hired additional security.
And what's the status of all that right now? Do you know? Like, as far
I do
as-
not know if it's come in. He did tell me he did hire somebody for the back door. I'm not sure of if the metal detector's in or if he's even has that in play right now.
Okay. Commissioner Williams, you want to speak or?
Yeah. What is your recommendation on this? I know it says probation, suspension, revocation, so forth. What's your
This being his first time brought in front of you, I would go against revoking his license. But we believe something needs to be done. Again, something happened in January, something happened again in March. Either probation or suspension, or a combination of both.
Okay. Is he here today?
Yes, sir.
Yep. We'll get him up here. Yeah. Give us just a second. Commissioner Guilfoyle, do you want the owner to come up, or do you want to ask
Mr.
right
Chairman, the recommendation that's on the back, Mr. Williams, is to suspend a business license, alcohol license, and dance license for 90 days.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I wanna hear
Okay.
from him and
All right. Yes, ma'am.
The applicant,
that's-
the property owner is here. You'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Von Sellers Allen. I'm actually here with my wife, Jasmine Allen.
What's your address?
Address is 2906 Arrowwood Circle, Helensburgh, Georgia.
Okay.
all right.
Can I give you? You want to give him the floor for a few minutes?
Sure,
You wanna
I
kinda explain?
just wanna, what's his take on this? Why shouldn't we do anything? What do you think we should do? What do you think?
Well, it's a tale of two stories, okay? It's all about how you write stuff, of course. I've been open for over 9 years, and I'm one of the few people that own my building and my land, okay? So this is very important to me. I'm always there. I'm one of those owners that's there. I'm not at home waiting on a phone call to tell me what's not happening for the night. I'm there. So I know firsthand what goes on in there, okay? Some of the stuff they saying, they just telling you the forefront of it, it looks bad, okay? Somebody snuck a gun through the back door. I had a guy on the back door at first. His job is to watch the back door and to go to the bathrooms. While he went to the bathroom, somebody else opened the door for him and let him come in with a gun. All right, since then, now I have somebody on the outside and the inside to make sure that doesn't happen again. Plus, I have an alert that anytime that back door open, it comes to my phone. I've always, in 9 years, I've always had the sheriff department there for specials, and I had one there, and normally have two, for the most part there. And I don't want to blame it up to that, but it's a problem with guns in the area and people not afraid to shoot. And I'm on trial here, and the police know I'm gonna go. Excuse me. I cooperate with them. I have video cameras everywhere. They got video of who did it, came in, no arrest, but I'm here on trial as far as protecting my business and fighting for my business.
Okay, what about?
Can I ask a question?
You want to?
Yeah, he talked about metal detectors increase. Is the metal detectors in now?
No, the metal detector's not in. I'm trying to find a feasible way because you're looking at cost effective as well, okay? The gun did not come through. I have security at the front that warns and everything. The gun didn't come through the front door.
And then your back door secured, is it armed, unarmed? Is it Richmond County? Who is it?
No, it's not Richmond County, but it's armed. Somebody licensed to carry. Plus, I have bars when it's not. I have not only locks, I have bars on it to where it can't be open. You have to pretty much lift up bars to go out the back door.
Okay. Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, and he said there were some assaults and what have you. I mean, what kind of clientele do you have? Are these young folks or 40 and over, or?
It's 21 and over. I don't, fights are gonna happen. I mean, when he said aggravated assault, he's talking about a fight. It's unfortunate that some things have happened. The incident with the gentleman that almost 2 years ago got killed, it was a group fight. My job is to push one group out first, then push the second group out second, so there's no continuous in fighting outside. My group, I had about 9 security guards there that night, and we pushed the first group out, pushed them to the street. They would not get in their cars. As that goes, we got the second group out that comes out. They drove around while we're trying to get the other group to leave. They're in the street, and the other group drove by, and of course they did a drive-by shooting. But this is part of the program as far as how you have to get people out, and I'm following that protocol.
And the recommendation is what, 90 days of what? What'd you say, Mr. Guilfoyle?
It's showing suspend a business license, alcohol, and dance license for 90 days. But I would, Mr. Williams, I don't know if you would agree with this. Why don't we give them 6 months probation? And if an incident happens, this is a warning, big warning, that normally most businesses that come before this body, we suspend it. You closed at that point. But I would say 6 months, and if an incident happens within that 6 months, we done. I don't know if the body
Commissioner
agrees.
Guilford,
All right.
what type of incident are you
Suspend.
referring to? I mean, that's a very wide
Okay.
net.
Probation for 6 months. If another incident happens, we suspend the license.
You saying,
Death.
you're saying if they come back within 6 months, you
If
get
the
a-
sheriff
you
department
gotta-
reports
Okay,
back to
okay.
us.
you
Clear.
gotta-
Whoop. Stop for just a second. Attorney, can you clarify what, y'all, we got to get on the same page here. Attorney,
Yes, if, whatever disciplinary action that the commission is taking will be done at this time, it will not be appropriate for this committee to recommend to the full commission a future disciplinary action when nothing has been heard that would probably approach a due process violation. You would just act on what has happened already,
So
not what may
basically-
happen in the future.
6 months probation, and that's all we do. And
And if something comes back up at that time, depend upon what it was and what you believe is appropriate and what the business owner has done, you will make your decision at that time if there will be any further disciplinary action.
okay,
I don't have a problem with that. But, you know, I know Mr. Allen understands that we have to look out for the safety of the community. And if it does come back, it's not gonna be a long conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
You know, so when you say an incident, whether it's
It won't.
assault or
Just 6 months
shooting-
probation, that's it. If it comes back before us, we'll address it then.
Okay, well, I'll make that a motion.
I'll second it.
6 months
well, you
probation.
can't second it. Oh, wait, yeah, you can. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. You said, Mr. Allen, you've been open for 9 years on
9 years, sir.
the Damascus Road location?
This is my first time up here.
You're right about that. Now, where's the, I guess it's maybe a sheriff's office question or a Delaney question. How many incidents do we have on record in the last 9 years here?
If he can come forward,
If anybody can come forward and
Lieutenant.
answer the question for me.
investigator.
In the last 9 years,
In the last 9 years, I don't know. I can say from 2020.
Can you speak into the mic just for people that are watching online?
For the past 9 years, I don't know. I can tell you from 2020, we've had maybe counting thefts and stuff like that, we're maybe 20.
in 3 years, counting
3
thefts and
years,
stuff.
maybe 20.
Okay, thank
Maybe
you.
25, somewhere around there, not much more than that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can we get clarity from the director on the 30 days, why that we kind of went to there? I mean, the 90 days. Can just for understanding?
The 90 days is just based on our historical, historically, we typically ask for 90 days. We are, I consulted with the sheriff's department, and we were amenable to doing a compromise where there could be probation. Because in talking to the sheriff, speaking with the sheriff's office, they also talked about the frequency for the nature of the business and the type of infractions that we're hearing about. So they're, for the most part, a business of this type that is within the regular guidelines for what we see as incidents. If you take away, I think, what are we saying? It's 5 major infractions, and the others tend to be towards broken in cars and things of that nature. So given the nature of the infraction plus the type of business, we have not had any issues with them on the alcohol licensing front either. So conversation today yielded that we would be willing to compromise.
Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Mason. Then
Well, thank you. Based on the willingness to compromise from the suspension to probation, and that you said that's something that both yourself and the sheriff office have had a conversation about, and that was something that you were amenable to.
Yes.
Okay. The district commissioner, we even super district commissioner of that area, just like to know what your feelings are on that, or what your thoughts are.
Commissioner Scott.
Who has Damascus Road?
Commissioner Scott.
Stacy and Francine.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm sorry. I'm just
Put her on the spot.
I'm good for that.
My primary concern is the safety of the community. When people come out to have a good time, they're here to have a good time, not to have their car broken up to, and God knows, shot or stabbed or whatever. I think if Ms. Delaney and the sheriff thinks that they can have a safe environment and with no other incidents, I'll agree with the committee recommendation.
Thank you.
Yes. So I echo that. The safety of our community is of the utmost importance. And I agree with Director Delaney as she brought forth the facts regarding, it's been these 5 incidents. I feel like the owners are working towards a solution to try to mitigate any further things like this from happening. But we do know in establishments like this, there are going to be fights and things like that. So I feel like people know what they're walking into. But at the same time, because of, and I don't necessarily think that's commission, but because you want people to come to your establishment, you want a certain name attached to it. So you want to draw in more clientele, and you want to be able to say that this is a safe, fun place. So that's up to the owner to put that out there. But I'm for the probation.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I can finish now.
Sure.
Hearing both from the district commissioner and the super district commissioner, and both the sheriff and Director Delaney, there's just one thing I would just want to add. I'm not on the committee, but there's one thing I want to add and make sure that is very clear, because I'm still hearing some conversation in terms of as long as there's no future. Well, see, we can't talk about future at this point. I mean, we've made that very clear. So in your voting and in your thought process, that's not something that you can bring into play in terms of this vote. So either you're going to accept it the way it is or go with the probation recommendation, but it's not something that you can consider in your mind now as you're making that vote. Okay, I'm going to do this as long as they don't do anything in the future. That's not something that you can take in consideration at this particular point. And I just want to make sure that we're clear on that as far as the commission and when you get ready to vote.
Yeah, Commissioner Mason, I agree. And I think for me, I would love to hear or see or the documentation of what safety measures you were supposed to put in place, the metal detector, and then know when it is in place, because this is, a very serious situation. But we do have a motion and a second. Director, are you good? Did you have a comment? Or?
They can get those in writing by next meeting.
Yeah, that would be great, because I think we have to know the whole situation and then hold you accountable as well from a governing body. All right, so we got a motion and second for 6 months probation. Voting, please.
Chairman
Yes.
Grantham, I apologize. One more thing. I totally agree with what you just said. You can't base your vote on the future. However, unfortunately, in our society, you can go anywhere and crime is going to happen. We see mass shootings that come up on our TV screens on a daily basis. So with that being said, the probationary measure, I am putting that, or I am voting yes to that, because if you are showing that, hey, I'm actually taking these measures to be as a preventative measure, for me, that's a yes.
That's right.
The same way our schools should probably all have metal detectors. So that's,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, committee. Yes, sir.
I want to remind you, I've been open a month since the incident has happened, and with the new measures in place, nothing has happened. Not saying that nothing can't happen, but I want to bring that up as well.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, voting committee.
That motion carries unanimously.
And that concludes public services. Thank you, committee.
Okay, I'd like to call public safety to order. Ready?
Anything to add or delete? Uh-oh, we got an addition, looks like.
I gotta go. Yeah. Welcome to Atlanta. First song.
Exactly. No.
Okay, yeah, I know. Okay, now may I call this public safety to order?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda, Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. There is a request for one addendum to add.
Okay. All right. I'm just looking at it. Okay, we're going to take a vote on this. Let's go ahead. Or we're adding it to the agenda.
I don't,
Any objections,
I don't have any
public
objections,
safety?
but I got some questions.
Okay. All right, District Commissioner from the 5th, go ahead.
All
All right, we got, wait a minute. Attorney Brown.
Madam Chair, I just want to be clear that it's established that the matter has been added to the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
It's okay.
Right,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Williams from the 5th.
All right, Ms. Dowse, if I may. Motion to approve 2.3 million of fire department fund balance. So how much money do they have in the fund balance?
Commissioner Williams, I have called Chief Burden to the podium
And that's fine.
to be able to offer you those
So,
specifics
as long as somebody can
concerning
answer the question.
his fund balance.
Uh-huh.
And I do want to also note that the funds that we are speaking of today was most recently communicated to the body by way of the finance presentation that was presented to you all last week. 2 weeks ago.
I can't remember that far back, though.
Yes,
I'll try.
sir. Chief Burden will provide you with those details.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Honorable Mayor. So as you recall, Finance presented the actual amount of funds that will be rolling over into our fund balance, which currently sits at $8 million, $8.2. And so we'll realize $2.3 billion that will roll over into our 2023 fund balance.
Okay, I know we gave you 3.5 from ARP, and then you gonna roll over how much?
2.3.
2.3, and the other 2 or 3 million were already in there.
The funds that were given at that time were utilized for vehicle replacement. So we purchased 3 apparatus with those funds.
Okay, can you give us the 3.5 back and? All right, so these are gonna replace those trucks that overturned, pretty much?
Yes, sir. That is the goal, is for us to purchase an additional aerial truck.
Does anybody else have any questions on this? Okay,
I got mine.
go ahead.
What?
I'm finished.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead to District 10, Commissioner Guilfoyle.
Chief, appreciate you coming before us. You know, what we was shown a couple weeks ago as far as the presentation from the finance director, the fire protection fund is currently projected to add. It's not audited money yet. It's not firm money. Is that correct? It's just an estimated guide, and we, can I ask the Madam Chairman, can I ask the finance director?
Yes, I was going to ask her to come forth. Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Ms. Donna, the information that you presented to us, it says the Fire Protection Fund is currently projected. It's not firm. That's unaudited, is that correct? It's liable to go up or go down?
That is correct, but we do not expect any drastic change to that number. Any adjustments to that number would be fairly minimal.
Okay. And I don't know who this question is for. Is $145,000 from property sales. What property? Can somebody answer that?
There was a piece of land that was sold. That money is already that is already revenue for this year. That money is technically in the bank. Those were fire department assets that were sold and have been recorded back as revenue to the Fire Protection Fund.
Okay, thank you.
Two transactions.
Chief and Finance Director, thank y'all.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Gotta wait for him.
You keep talking. You don't have to wait on him. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay. I'm waiting on legal. And then.
I know. It's fine. It's the fund balance.
Attorney Brown, you're in the queue. You good? Okay, thank you. All right, I'll go to District 8, Mayor Pro Tem Garrett.
Motion to approve as stated.
Second. We're voting. May I get a motion? Well, we already got a motion. We're voting. So I seconded it. Yes, and Mayor Pro Tem Garrett made the motion to. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm waiting on. Okay.
That motion carries 3-1 with Mr. Mason voting no.
Okay, that concludes public safety for today. Thank you.
Did you do the minutes? The minutes?
Oh, we need to consent item number 1.
So moved.
Second. I'm running my committee. Thank you. Got a motion?
Yes. Got the motion.
Voting. I've already said that. Waiting on you, Commissioner from the 5th. Okay, we're waiting on you to close it out.
That motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you. That concludes public safety for today.
Madam Clerk, calling administrative service to order. Do we have any
Yes, ma'am.
in addition or deletion?
No, ma'am.
All right. I would like to consent, if it's okay with the committee, 1, 3, and 4.
So moved.
Second.
Voting. Director Hawthorne, I think
That
Commissioner.
motion carries unanimously.
Sorry, thank you. I believe Commissioner Lewis have a question for number 1.
Number 3. Number 2.
I'm sorry. You had number 1, right? Number 1. He has a question.
We've approved. Yeah, we consented. He's gonna have to ask his
Oh,
question
I'm sorry.
next week.
I'm sorry, 2, 3, I said 2, 3. That's what I said, 2, 3, and 4.
2,
is
3, and
consent-
4.
Is consented, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have a question?
Can I make a motion to reconsider the votes, right? I'd have to. She accidentally said 1 instead of 2. So that means I gotta open it back up?
I said 2, 3, and 4.
The motion, my understanding, clerk can answer, but my understanding was 1, 3, and 4 that were consented.
Yep, she didn't mean to do that.
I need to reconsider.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to reconsider.
Second.
Say voted.
Okay. All right, consenting 2, 3, and 4.
We have to vote on the reconsideration first.
Motion to, voting, please.
Yeah. So we're voting for reconsideration.
That motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
No consent.
Commissioner Lewis, you had a question for 1?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Welcher, and I don't know, it's probably a typo, but under the Branch Street building here on page 7, on page 7, number 6 on page 7, and it reads as follows. This agreement is based upon the availability of funding under approved CDBG. Should funds no longer be available, it is agreed to by both parties that this contract shall terminate and any J. Lovett Homes deemed satisfactory progress made within the contract to construction only amount not to exceed 50%, and then you have in parentheses 100% shall be paid to J. Lovett Homes.
Yes, sir. Definitely a typo.
Typo. So it should read 50%, 50%.
Should read 100%.
Should be 100%. Should be 100%. Okay.
Can I get a motion to approve 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Second.
Well, you're the chair. You should have done that. Sorry.
You ain't do it. Get-
Sorry. Sorry. I'm ready to move on. I got Janet Jackson on my mind.
Oh, okay, all right, all right. Okay. Okay, did we get a second on that motion? Okay, good. Voting.
And Commissioner Scott, we will provide updated documents for the commission meeting on Tuesday.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
That motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Let's conclude administrative service.
With that being said, we will call a Engineering Services Committee to order. Madam Clerk, is there any additions or deletions to the Engineering Services Committee?
No, sir.
Great. Hearing none, I would offer up a consent agenda of items 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Can I get a motion to that effect?
Could we add item 1 as well?
Out of 5. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9.
Motion to approve?
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, commissioners will vote by the usual sign.
That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll go to items 7. Item number 7, please.
Item 7 is to consider a proposal from CDM Smith Incorporated to provide additional services for the sanitary sewer model of the Fort Gordon service area for the Utilities Department, CO Amendment 1, 19 UT 1809.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have the Director of Utilities, Director Bynes.
Yes,
Afternoon, Commissioners. Yes, this item is an extension of the sanitary sewer modeling contract analysis of capacities of the receding sanitary sewer on Fort Gordon. CDM Smith was the contract that was selected to do the base model for the entire city of Augusta. That piece has been phase 1 completed. We are looking to evaluate the fort's next few years of work that needs to be done, and so we've asked CDM Smith to come back with a proposal to do that scope, and that's what this is about.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. I got a question. I got Commissioner Garrett in the queue as well. But my question is, considering what is going on with some of the issues that Fort Gordon is having as far as within their housing in terms of plumbing and sewage and water, does that have anything to do with Augusta, Richmond County and what we provide?
Our system is sound and built to our standards and specifications up to the point of demarcation. The issues that you've heard and seen about are inside those demarcation lines, not reflective of the city of Augusta's work or level of service delivery to the members that live there.
So we should feel some level of relief that we won't be hearing about this futuristically?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Garrett.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, commissioners will vote by the usual sign.
That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And we'll go to item number 8.
Item 8 is to consider a proposal to enter an engineering services contract with Cranston Engineering Group, PC, to provide planning and due diligence design services towards the repair of the Augusta Canal Diversion Dam in the amount of $30,000.
And Director Bynes, can you speak to this for a moment, please, briefly?
Absolutely. This is a development of a concept scope. This is the diversion dam that's in the river at the canal head gates. So this is the one that crosses all the way across into Carolina. There are some issues we are trying to address. Did an inspection of it in the fall. Have brought a limited amount of that reporting information. This is the first phase of concepts. That I will come back with a design, build, construction concept, either midsummer or fall with a contractor, go through a bidding process to bring somebody on who knows how to work in the Savannah River.
Now, question, would this have any issues or fall into any direct correlation with anything with the Corps of Engineers?
It does. We'll end up having, that's what we were discussing earlier, some limited permitting requirements from the Corps in order to do some of the coffer damming, to do some of the construction and repair. City of Augusta actually owns the property underneath the river, purchased it long before there was a Corps. And so there's a historical precedent that the city owns and has rights to that. We have strong riparian rights. We own the structure. So limited amounts of permitting, but from our perspective, this is a city asset that has to be maintained.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Johnson, did you have any other additional? Okay. Is there any further discussion? If not, can I get a motion? Hello.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, commissioners will vote by the usual sign.
Thank you.
That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. What's the next item on the agenda?
I believe that's all.
Fantastic. Having said that, the Engineering Service Committee is adjourned.
All right, I'd like to call finance to order. I'm going to steal one from Mr. Mason. I'm going to say hello when y'all don't answer me. So are there any additions to this agenda?
No, sir.
No additions. Are there any deletions?
No, sir.
All right, so I'd like to offer a consent agenda at item number 2, consenting item number 2, item number 4. And Commissioner McKnight, are you still pulling item number 5?
I'm going to go ahead, and if we don't mind, since Commissioner from the 10th is here.
Okay.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
So
that
can
offer.
Do what?
You good?
Keep it on.
Okay,
keep
we'll
it on
keep
there.
it
Thank
on.
you.
So the offered consent agenda would be item 2 and item 4. Do we have a motion? Hello? It didn't work for me, Commissioner Mason.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. All right.
Second.
There's a motion and a second voting.
You was waiting on me.
I was waiting on you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I have the vote.
That motion carries unanimously.
All right, item number 1.
Item 1 is to receive as information FEMA reimbursement of qualifying emergency protective measure expenditures.
Director Williams.
Yes, sir. Augusta has applied for and been awarded the amount of $679,592.51 in Category 2 protective or emergency protective measures that qualified for reimbursement through FEMA for items that were purchased during the COVID-19 emergency. And this is just for information. The mayor has signed the appropriate documents. We jumped through all the hurdles, and just the money is on the way.
I like how that sounds. The money is on the way. Are there any questions from any of my colleagues? If not, can we take this item as information without objection? Without objection. Thank you. Item number 3.
Item 3 is to receive a report recommendation from the administrator of staff regarding payments from the Augusta Library.
Okay. Administrator Dowse.
Commissioner, I would like to ask that this matter be forwarded to the next Finance Committee meeting. The Administrator's Office, as well as Finance and the library personnel, have met several times, and unfortunately, the plan that we have crafted will not be in the best interest of both Augusta and the library, so we're asking to come back within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Before we do that, I'm going to recognize Commissioner from the 5th, Mr. Williams.
Okay, so can you tell me what you guys have come up with?
Well, the plan that we have come up with will not be in the best interest of Augusta nor the public library. Hence the reason why I'm requesting an additional 2 weeks to come back before the body with a report and a recommendation.
Okay, so I'm asking, why is it not something that's good for us? Because I actually want something done with this, because my understanding is that this debt was somewhere near $3 million or so at one point in time. We had a library that was, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mitchell, 35,000 feet, and then we built one that was 95,000 feet, and then we kept the budget the same. You cannot get a building that's twice the size of the previous building and not have some deficit. So, you know, I can talk with you offline or what have you, but we need to come to something about this. Okay, my understanding is that it's right now like $1.3 million of deficit. And the other part of it is that, hang on a sec. And I'm gonna cut your head, like, shh. Alvin Mason gonna make me throw it.
All right, we're going to maintain order. Come on and finish your statement, Commissioner. This happens. We have to have a conversation. So bear with us. All right. All right, Commissioner Williams, you still have the floor.
They told me to apologize to you because they're gonna do something, Miss Madam Dowse. But we need to do something with this, because when we do a budget and we give the library $500,000, all they do is turn around and give it back to the city in a payment. So all we're doing is just recycling money. You give me $1 and I give you $1 back, and we keep doing that year after year. And I'm looking at the longevity of the library. All right, so I have no problem with 2 weeks or what have you, that, you know, we need to bring this back, but we need to do something, okay? Thank you. I appreciate it. I love you too.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Is there any other discussion from any members of the commission or the committee before we take Administrator Dowse's recommendation? Seeing none, we'll have this on our next finance meeting agenda, but we need a motion to that effect.
You had a motion, you need a second.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second to that effect? There's a motion and a second. Without objection? Without objection. Thank you. Item number 5.
Item 5 is to discuss appropriate internal audit processes for all ARC departments.
All right. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 3rd.
Okay, had it on here last week to discuss again to finance this week. So if the motion needs to be reread, the one that I had put out last week, do we need to put it up there on the screen?
I think.
Okay, well, I had the motion. We'll discuss. We do an external audit annually. We don't do an internal audit. Well, Ms. Williams, would you come to the...
Ms. Williams, please approach. I will add, and I don't mean to stifle the discussion because certainly we need to have discussion on this item, but we've heard these conversations time and again about what this means, what it doesn't mean, what we need, what we don't. I would suggest that we just take a vote, but I yield again to my colleague from the 3rd.
Well, if we want to go ahead and vote, we can do that.
I'd rather discuss.
All
Okay.
right, we'd rather discuss. Okay, so we'll have discussion. Ms. Williams, tried to save you.
Mrs. Williams, I just got a quick question to ask you. We do external annually audits, correct?
Yes, ma'am, it's required by the state.
Okay, but we don't do any kind of internal audit or operational audits.
We have,
Okay, but not regularly, not consistently.
not consistently, you are correct.
Okay, that's what I am wanting to see, and the citizens of Augusta would like to see. That's why I put the motion on the floor last week, and since we don't do that, I thought that this would be the, time to put it out there to vote on. Other counties do this, and I've looked into it, and I'd like to see Richmond County, piggyback off of what the other counties have done. It's worked for them. So, I mean, the motion's pretty simple. So if we want to go ahead and vote it, we can, but I think that there is some discussion from a commissioner on...
I'm going to get to Commissioner Guilfoyle.
Okay.
Does that conclude your statements?
That is.
Okay.
I'm good.
I have a question. You say that, and I'm going to direct this to, I'm going to ask because you mentioned it, but maybe someone can answer. You said other counties do this. What other counties are doing these types of audits?
Well, I know Columbia County does.
Okay. Do we know the costs associated with what Columbia County does, Ms. Williams?
I do not.
Okay. We'll come back. Let's get Commissioner Guilfoyle. Commissioner Guilfoyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just on this operational audit. I know on the rec department last week we approved, 2 weeks ago, we approved right at $100,000 for a company to come in and actually find better ways of improving that department. I think it was voted unanimously. Operational audits are audits that are focused on effectiveness, productivity, cost efficiency of the operations of the business. Internal audits will focus on what has already happened. The benefits of it, the advantage of the audit is to improve the way the business or the department performs. A operational audit can help the business lower its costs, also help decrease the turnaround time for many processes, directly improving its service delivery and customer satisfaction. There's actually a lot of good things in improving the departmental effectiveness, discovering opportunities for improvement. This is what we talked about as far as we get behind this dais on how we could improve the efficiency of our government. This is one way of doing it. We just spent $100,000 a couple of weeks ago to do the same thing. But at least we will get something out of this and make sure that the processes are done correctly. So my motion is to make a motion to approve this operational audit.
So the motion that I had last week,
Yep.
is that, can we go ahead and vote the motion?
There's only been a motion. There hasn't been a second.
Okay. Second.
There is a motion and a second, but there is some additional discussion. Well, I thought there was additional discussion. Is there any additional discussion from any colleagues here? Commissioner Scott.
Mr. Chairman, let's see. We're discussing
the appropriate internal audit that we want to see done. Is that correct?
Yes, for discuss, we've
Okay.
discussed, but I'd like to vote on, vote on the motion I'd put out.
But the motion that you put out last week is not.
Well, it should have been on there. It should have been on there to vote again on it this week, but it's not. It says to discuss, but the motion should be on there.
Okay, quick point. We need to go back a bit. Commissioner McKnight, you second the motion. You're not on this committee. So that motion does not, it doesn't stand. So there's going to have to be another motion, and we have to take another second.
Okay.
So let's go back to that. Is there a motion to the effect? Would you like to remake your motion, Mr. Guilfoyle?
Sorry about it, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make the motion that the author of this agenda item want it, and she could tell me what the motion is.
Can you state the motion, please?
I'm going to go ahead and read it. And by the way, I was on finance last, year, so still was feeling like I had to vote on
It's okay.
finance.
It's okay.
All
It's a
right.
fun committee to be a part of. If you
Yeah,
could
it
just
is.
state
You
your,
enjoy-
state your motion.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion to hire a local third-party accounting firm, separate and independent from the external auditors who perform financial statements audits on an annual basis, to perform regularly scheduled internal financial and operational audits on all city departments, ensuring every department is audited at a minimum of once every 4 years. Said firm will present findings quarterly to the full commission.
Okay, Mr. Guilfoyle, is that your motion?
Yes, sir, it is. I know you're going to second it, Mr.
Is
Chairman.
there a second? No, you don't know that. Is there a second? Okay, motion fails for the lack of a second.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion on this item?
Thank you.
Okay, we have Commissioner Williams in the queue. Commissioner Williams?
Since it failed,
Okay, since it failed, he's good. All right, with no other discussion,
Well,
that
that's on
adjourns
y'all.
the Finance Committee meeting. Thank you all.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna suggest that to put my motion on the agenda for next week, please.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that's good. I appreciate it. Thank you, Donna. Right now. It's kind of, I appreciate it so much, Donna. Thank you. Not a problem.
And look at, and no shoes on. They be running behind. They be running behind you. That's your boy. That's your boy.
Speaking of which,
That's your boy. Yeah. I know.
Okay.
Hey, hey.
It is. So you decide what you're still on Friday. Yeah.
gonna get on the vote and you gonna.
I just like to see you have that vote sooner or later, but we don't want to take it.
You don't know what.
Because if it, if it,